if you or someone you know is using prescribed drugs, you might want to pay close attention to our experts' advice just to be sure that there's no misuse or even abuse going on. Dr. Jeremy Frank is my guest, and he's going to answer some frequently asked questions about prescription drugs or possible addiction. Now, we put the question up on Facebook, and one of our viewers wrote in, what are some of the common signs that someone might be becoming addicted to a certain drug? My mother is 78 and freaks out when she thinks she has to go to sleep without taking Ambien.
Yeah, well, we look at the various areas in one's life of adaptive functioning. So socially, is she having difficulties? Interpersonally, with relationships, occupation, work, career, school? Are there legal problems? Is somebody doctor hopping or doctor shopping? And also withdrawal and tolerance is something that family members can recognize as well. So withdrawal is that when someone is not using the substance, are they angry or irritable or sleepy, overly energetic? And then tolerance is the process where people need to take more of the drug to get the same effect. So people are either taking more of the drug, they're taking a stronger drug, or they're taking it more frequently. So oftentimes family members can witness that.
Well, can you clarify what might be a misconception? If you take a drug long enough, can your body become accustomed to it and it literally does not work as well as it initially did?
Yeah, that's tolerance.
Tolerance?
Now, some people believe that there's a genetic predisposition, and this has been shown, towards addiction. So about 5% of the population may inherit from family members a predisposition towards addiction. And if there's a family member who has an addiction, then you're 4 times more likely to have an addiction than the next person, which is about a 20% likelihood that you can become dependent. However, with these drugs, you can become dependent on them even if you don't have a genetic predisposition.
You know, people who have watched the show for a very long time remember that I broke my leg and had a very serious knee injury, had to have reconstruction and everything, and they gave me Percocet, which I guess is a typical painkiller in a situation like that.
Sure.
I was so uncomfortable on that drug, even though it did help with the pain, because I felt like I was always having an out-of-body experience. But I could see where people could get addicted to the idea of getting away from the pain. I mean, mine was, you know, in hindsight, a relatively simple procedure to get through. But do people realize that they can get addicted, or is it too late by the time we've figured it out?
It absolutely sneaks up on people. No one says that they thought that they could become addicted. It's as if you're accelerating towards a cliff at 80 miles per hour and you say, I'm going to stop when I get there. No one's able to do that. They're usually going over the cliff and they're wishing that they had stopped, or they hit the ground and then they wish they stopped.
Right. We're going to go back to the telephone lines where we are joined by Frank now. Frank, thank you for being with us.
Oh, you're quite welcome, Lynn. Thanks for the opportunity.
Certainly. You just heard our expert describe this feeling of like almost heading toward a cliff at 80 miles an hour. Have you had any experience with prescription drugs that you could liken to that example?
Yes, I can. And he is right. There is a genetic disposition. My mother was addicted to quite a few drugs as I was growing up. And but yeah, it wasn't so far as going off a cliff. It was going 80 miles an hour into a brick wall. And it completely turned my life upside down, backwards, and sideways in so many different aspects.
Were you addicted to prescription drugs as a result of an accident or an injury or an illness?
Actually, it was multiple injuries, multiple knee surgeries, multiple shoulder surgeries, degenerative disc disease in my back. That I still suffer with today.
So how long were you addicted to the prescription drugs?
24 years.
Oh my gosh. Seriously? 24
Yes, seriously.
years. How were you able to get drugs for that long? I mean, a doctor wasn't prescribing them for you for 24 years, was he?
Some doctors were, and it's just like the expert that you have on the radio now. I went doctor shopping. And it's not all that hard to do for some people if they know their signs and symptoms verbatim. Every time they walk into another doctor's office or a hospital emergency room, they can get whatever they want.
Well, let me ask you this then, very quickly. After 24 years, are you still addicted to prescription drugs, or have you been able to wean yourself from them?
Absolutely. I'm 17 months clean and sober.
Oh. Wow. We don't have enough time for you to tell me how you did that, but can you give us the succinct version? How were you able to finally get off it?
Actually, it was kind of being in the wrong place at the right time. God intervened with me. I got arrested. And I did a couple weeks in the local jail out here in California, and it cleaned me up and made me see the light.
And sometimes that's what it takes, right? Hitting rock bottom.
It does.
Right.
It does. When you hit bottom, it hurts.
So what you're saying to people
around you
is that you can do it. You just, hopefully you don't have to hit rock bottom, but it can be done. You can get off of them. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
All right. Frank, thank you so much for sharing your story and being an inspiration, and we wish you the best of luck with your continued recovery. I know the addiction experts here will tell us that this is not something you have to you will be dealing with it for the rest of your life. So we wish you the best of luck with it.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you. Sam says, is it true that more people die from prescription drug overdoses than in automobile accidents? Have you ever heard that?
I think that that's true now. I know that more people are dying from prescription drug overdoses than heroin and cocaine combined.
Wow. How do you recover? How do you ever come back from a prescription drug addiction?
A good entry point is to start with an addiction psychologist or addiction psychiatrist or a drug and alcohol rehab. And then you do a stepped up level of care approach. So you start out with maybe once a week therapy. It needs to be broad and diverse. Usually group therapy is a component, and then 12-step programs or other sorts of social support. Addiction is the tip of the iceberg. So there are 9/10 under the water that you want to get curious and hungry about. That may be medicating a depression or anxiety. It may be that someone's angry at their family. It may be insecurities. And oftentimes it has to do with difficulties with relationships. And people use drugs to mediate their relationships.
And can it be as simple as a physical addiction?
Yes.
Yes,
it can,
sometimes it's just
of course.
physically. You just get addicted to it, and you have to fight through that as well. These are some of the warning signs and how we can help. You say talk to the individual, tell them why you're concerned, provide a resource to help, and then allow that person to get involved.
Yeah.
Anything that you can add to that as we close out here?
You beg, you cajole, you convince. It doesn't have to be with ultimatums or tough love or consequences. And you do your research and you provide them with some options, and you tell them that you love them, and you don't do it while you're drunk or you're in a fight, and you try to get them help any way you can. In Al-Anon, they'll say you didn't cause it, you can't control it, and you can't cure the problem. So there's only so much that you can do, but you can certainly try.
Well, thank you so much for giving us a piece of this puzzle to examine and to explore, and tools with which to work with in case we suspect there is a problem. Dr. Jeremy Frank, thank you so much.